All right, in this last section, we're going to talk about the different types of fungi. Fungal classification is based on spore type. So there's the Chytridiomycota, Zygomycota, Glomeromycota, which produce no sexual spores, Ascomycota, Basidiomycota. These guys we don't talk about too much. They're not very common, but the other ones we're going to talk about kind of extensively. So the Chytridiomycetes, or the Chytrids, produce motile spores called Zygospores. So the Chytridiomycota have flagellated spores. Some chytrids are single cells, others have slender hyphae. The structures at the ends of these hyphae produce the gametes. Chytrids also produce flagellated zoospores. Chytrids are common in many environments, such as a cow's digestive tract and on frog skin. Chytrids feed on frog skin. When frogs are coated with chytrids, the frog loses its ability to breathe through its skin. So these chytrid spores block respiratory pores in the frog's skin. And although they have these nares that allow them to breathe, they also depend on exchange of gases through their skin. So basically, if they're all blocked, the fungus ends up suffocating the frog, and with the frog not being able to breathe, they end up dying. Chytrids are therefore contributing to the decline in amphibian populations. Zygomycetes. So Zygomycota is a group of fungi that's fast-growing and prolific. This is Zygomycetes growing on a bagel. The Zygomycota includes the common bread mold, Rhizopus, and you see these strands, these hyphae that come up into this fruiting body, and they produce spores that way. These are pretty obvious under a microscope, so we'll get an opportunity to look at some of these under the microscope. During sexual reproduction, cells from two hyphae fuse, producing a diploid zygospore surrounded by a spiny coat. The zygospore undergoes meiosis, producing haploid hypha. The hypha produces genetically unique haploid spores, each of which germinates into a hyphae. And each hyphae may undergo sexual reproduction by fusing with another hyphae or asexual reproduction through mitosis. During asexual reproduction, the hyphae produces spore sacs by mitosis. All spores are genetically identical. So here you can see Zygomycetes growing on flies, which is really disgusting. So they grow on the backs of flies and they spread their little spores all over the place. They can grow in cow dung and many other places. Glomeromycetes only live in association with plant roots. A fungus-plant root combination is known as a mycorrhiza. This is a symbiotic, mutualistic relationship. So the fungus provides the plant extra nutrients. The plant provides the fungus a nice, safe environment to live. And they actually have a house called arbuscules. So the arbuscules are specifically designed to contain that fungi. The partnership benefits both the fungus and the plant. The fungal hyphae absorb water and nutrients from the soil and share them with the plant, while the plant produces sugars that the fungus uses for energy. Ascomycota. So Ascomycota is one of the largest groups of fungi. Contains fungi with various lifestyles. So here you can see truffles and club fungi here. So with these Ascomycota, many of the human pathogens are under this group. Also, the yeast, Saccharomyces cerevisiae, that we use in bakers and brewing yeast, that is going to be in this classification. All of the different types of dermatophytes, the ones that cause skin infections and such, they all lie under this Ascomycota group. So some decompose organic matter, others live in symbiosis with other organisms, either as parasites or mutualists. Others are carnivorous. So here shows a picture of a fungus that's wrapped around a roundworm. The fungal hyphae extend into the worm and digest it from the inside out. The zygote undergoes meiosis and then mitosis, which forms 8 ascospores contained within a sac called an ascus. And that's how they reproduce. Basidiomycetes. So Basidiomycota contains familiar fungi such as puffballs and mushrooms. Wind carries the spores of puffballs and mushrooms. The putrid odor of the stinkhorn's slimy spore mass attracts flies, which carry the spores on their feet. Raindrops splash the spore-laden eggs out of a bird's nest fungus. Mushrooms are sometimes edible, although they can be poisonous or can induce hallucinations. Basidiomycetes can reproduce asexually by producing haploid spores called conidia, but they can also reproduce sexually. Fungi are important for many things. So they're major decomposers. They decompose dead plants and animals and are food and medicine sources. Endophytes are fungi that live in plants but do not trigger disease symptoms. All plants harbor endophytes. Leafcutter ants cultivate fungi, so they actually grow fungi. The leaves are deposited underground where fungi use them as a food source, and then the ants can eat the growing hyphae. So they kind of like farm this fungi. Lichens are fungi with green algae or cyanobacteria, among other hyphae. The fungi absorb minerals and water, while the autotrophic algae cells produce sugars for the fungus.